everybody. Welcome to the Purple Friday Show, episode 231. Good morning to everyone. Happy pre-Thanksgiving. Hopefully this is in black households. I think we all know we don't eat for like 3 days until Thanksgiving. It's like you have to scavenge. I saw one of my neighbors posted like their kids were asking like, "What are we eating for dinner?" I was like, if they don't know right by now, you don't eat until Thursday. You better find some crackers, some peanut butter and jelly,
some ramen
something.
noodles or something. Cheese.
Yeah, you better find because you ain't eating till Thursday. Like all the food that's in the fridge is saved for Thursday. You better not touch anything. So I know I've like last night. I think I had some crackers and cheese and stuff because again, all the food in the fridge is for Thursday. So, but anyway, Ravens get a big W. When they had to have against the Los Angeles Chargers just the day before where Saquon Barkley in the same stadium gets over 300 total yards from the line of scrimmage, and Derrick Henry goes out there, gets 140 on I think 24 carries for himself, averaged 5.8 yards a carry. Didn't score a touchdown, breaking his streak. I think he has scored a touchdown in every Ravens game up to this point, whether it's been catching a touchdown or running the ball. He's scored a touchdown in every Ravens game except this one. But I will say, I think, look, I said I thought the Ravens were going to lose this game. I did. I picked the Ravens to lose this game. I didn't like the fact that Roquan was going to be in this game. I just thought it was going to be a real big issue up across the middle, especially they brought in Kristen Welch, taking some of those snaps, and they kind of rotated between Chris Board and Malik Harrison. But I will say, on that defensive side of the ball, I know it was in a very small sample set. It was one game. But Malik Harrison and Chris Board did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job, I think, especially in the run game. Like even when JK and them were in, when JK was in there before he left, I think in the first half and got hurt with his knee, they were hitting guys. Chris Board and Malik Harrison were both hitting dudes. Like you could hear it from the TV. Like they were hitting guys. And I do like the fact that I was worried that it felt like, especially in the first drive, the Chargers went down. The physicality just wasn't there. It felt like, I don't know if they got off the plane late, if they had a late night party or something, whatever the night before, but it did feel like they were dragging offense and defense. Because that first drive, the Chargers went out down there with like just ease. Like it was like they couldn't stop them for nothing. And they came back, and then the second and third drive, it felt like, all right, things picked up. Wiggins and Tre'Davious White did a really good job in man coverage, knocking the ball out when the ball got there. They were knocking the ball out, hitting the offensive players there. So they couldn't catch the football, did a phenomenal job. So they didn't, I think they said they didn't let a play over 20 yards, which was I think the first time this season, maybe since the Bills game, that they haven't let a deep play, impact play affect them in this game. So I think they actually kept the Chargers under for total yards 285. So they kept them under 300 yards total. So that's for 2 straight weeks. Even though 2 straight weeks, the Ravens now, even though they lost the Steelers game, did a really good job of eliminating the total yards from different teams. And on the offensive side of the ball, look, Lamar only had 177 passing yards, but they were definitely impact plays from what we saw, especially the throw to Rashad Bateman. I mean, that deep throw right there, literally laying in a breadbasket, and only for Rashad Bateman to catch the football. And I was talking to Trey before the show, and the previous was it 2 drives before that where Lamar throws it to him in the back of the end zone, but he doesn't catch it that time. And Bateman said, yeah, he told me, after that play, he's like, no, you got to catch that. I don't care that the guy's right there in his hands, you got to catch that football. And he went right back to him, and he did not disappoint. So Rashad Bateman got a touchdown there. Justice Hill, I was glad they finally got Justice Hill involved in the running game. He had a big 40-yard touchdown. I again didn't see Keaton Mitchell. He's only on special teams. I'm wondering now, are they waiting just for after the bye week at this point? They just want to keep him up to speed and save him until after the Eagles game? I'm not sure. But Lamar had another, again, not crazy passing yards in this game, but he was efficient in this game. Didn't make any mistakes. He's very careful with the football now. He ran some, but not a whole bunch. And look, it's fair. It's clear to see when this Ravens team is on, it's very hard to beat them. It's very hard to beat them. Now, I will say, I think we said in the group text, like the penalties, they had 9 again in this game for like 100 yards. The only thing I think that offset that was there were a couple of those big penalties were offset by the Chargers also committing a penalty on those same plays. There was like a pass interference one, and I think there was like a personal foul one as well, but they got offset because the Chargers also committed a penalty on those plays. They could have changed the game around. So again, here we are, week 12, and the Ravens are still over 8 penalties a game now. You can't keep getting those kind of penalties, 80, 90, 100 yards a game, and expect to still win most of these football games, especially against teams like the Bills, against the Chiefs. You know, you got the Eagles this coming week. Like, they got to start cleaning that up. And look, you're starting to see it from McCarty a lot now too. Like, it's like every game now with him. He's getting like a holding call. I will say that call on, they called him on, I think, illegal formation. They called it on him.
Yeah, that
it should have been on
tight end
Polar or whoever came over. Like, they shouldn't have lined up covering him up. Like, he can't move. Like, he's like, I'm on the line. I can't move. Because if I move, it's gonna be a false start anyway. So he's like, you know, they called it on him, but that wasn't his fault. But again, you're still seeing a lot of holding calls and false starts and illegal procedures, legal man downfield. All this stuff has got to get cleaned up. Hopefully, maybe the bye week comes and they work on that stuff. I don't think it's an opportunity for the Ravens to just kind of, let's go relax, let's go chill. Maybe you get a day like that, but with where the bye week is in this part of the season and the stretch they got coming up, they need to be locked in. Like, yeah, no, I get it, it's a week off, but it's one of those things where it's like, let's take a day, fellas, you know, but we gotta be right back at it. Like, we have to use this opportunity, this time. So we don't necessarily have to work out, but we have to use this time. We gotta look at film. We gotta figure out what we need to do to fix some of these ills as far as when penalties, work on our technique, things like that, just to make sure we're locked up for the final stretch. Because again, the Ravens don't have a lot of wiggle room, you know, towards the end of the season. I think they're at the 5th or 6th seed right now. They're possibly playing, I think, the Texans, the way it looks like the playoff predictor is looking like right now. But that obviously can change week to week. But all in all, a big win for them. Have to get that win, especially again with their record in the AFC as a whole right now isn't that great. It isn't that great. They got to start keep getting more wins in the AFC to kind of, you know, get their positioning for the playoffs better. But all in all, good win.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely classify this as a good win. I think I do believe this was a must-win game, just because we got to play the Eagles coming up this week. So, you know, you lose this one, imagine the pressure we're going to have playing against Philly and Baltimore. So, really, 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 really good win. I think it was a nice team win. I'm still not all the way pleased with some aspects of the game. Special teams didn't look that great to me. We're still getting flags on special teams. We're still letting, you know, big punt returns and things like that happen. We can't have that. Also, with as far as the defense, I think the defense played solid. Did they play as good as they played against the Steelers? Probably not early on, but they made adjustments and they looked a lot better down the stretch. Malik Harrison, I'm not going to lie, I was nervous. I was really, really nervous after that first quarter because there were a couple plays where he just got erased in that running game, and it did not look promising early on. J.K. Dobbins looked like he was on his way to having a day, and we were definitely struggling to stop him early on. He did go out with that knee injury. Hopefully it's not too serious for him. But once he went out, you know, Gus, you know, he was a form, you know, he could do a little, but Gus alone was not enough for them to maintain a run game throughout the rest of that game. And, you know, our defense looked good after that. I mean, the Chargers became super one-dimensional. So, you know, we looked good, but, you know, they lost their running game. So we kind of knew what they were doing most of those plays. And we also got bailed out quite a few. I mean, penalties, one thing, like you said, Miles, that one play where we had offsetting penalties where, you know, the hold really wasn't a hold. I mean, I saw that replay and they called a hold on him where it was kind of like, I could have seen it going the other way. But, you know, worked out for us. And also we were getting bailed out by, what's his name, Quentin Johnston. the entire game. I mean, he had about 3 or 4 crucial third down drops where they would have had easy first downs. I'm not even talking like, they were easy first downs. Even the ones on the sideline where he caught and he had defense draped over him, he dropped the ball trying to tuck it away. Like the defender's arm didn't really touch the ball. So it was a super bad outing by him. And, luckily we were able to capitalize off of that. And, it just kind of bailed us out. But overall, can't say too much bad about the defense, especially not having Roquan Smith out there. Kyle Hamilton, we didn't even really, he did his job. Like, we didn't really hear his name called too much. He was in position most of the times, but the defense stepped up. I mean, for Roquan not to be there, I think everybody for the most part did their job. And like I said, especially down the stretch after that first quarter was over, it's kind of like everybody kind of settled down and we kind of got to it after that. I mean, just to be down, go down 10 points quick could be demoralizing for a defense, but, one play at a time, and they stayed in the game, and it picked up as the game went on. Offensively, very, very slow start. I don't know where these slow starts are coming from, but we can't start off games like this, especially moving into some of the games we got coming up. The slow starts are killing us, and especially when we start off a game without, we know we're kind of down some guys on defense, no Roquan. In those times, we need our offense to kind of get us off to a fast start. And not being able to score on the first few drives and, going quick 3 and outs, it's just, that's not the recipe we want going forward. But eventually they were able to pick it up and we kind of got rolling. And they obviously learned from their mistakes against that Steelers game. And we were running that football. I mean, whether it was Derrick Henry, whether it was Justice Hill, they both got to eat in that game. And we stuck to it. What I was most impressed with was a lot of the handoffs that Derrick Henry got and got stuffed, didn't go anywhere. 0 yards, they were still running the ball. That did not deter them from running the football. And we've seen that happen in previous games, in previous weeks. We've seen them be deterred from running the football. But we stuck with it. Like you said, he had 20-something carries, 24 carries, 140 yards. He had a touchdown, but they took it back from the penalty, which, killed my fantasy team, but it is what it is. And then Justice Hill, he had a solid day as well. He got to break that one on the sideline. I think he finished with like 80 yards rushing himself. So all in all, over 200 yards rushing from the offense. I'll take it all day, every day. That's our recipe for winning. It is what it is. And Lamar Jackson was able to, do his thing in the play action. And, he had a couple great balls down the field that he threw to Bateman. And, the touchdown pass was to Andrews, gave him a 50-50 ball, go up there and catch the ball over the defender. Really, really, really good stuff. My only critique I'll have, again, in the offense, because like I said, I think they played great down the stretch. In that second half, you can't really draw it up better than that. But only critique I'll have is that I'm noticing that, Derrick Henry in this game, for whatever reason, it didn't seem like he could stay on the field as much consistently. We understand that he's there for, first down, second down, and depending on if it's a, third and short or third and long, he's on or off the field. But it's still a little too predictable for me. I don't think you're putting Lamar Jackson in the best situation when Derrick Henry is not on the field on crucial downs. Like, I get it. If we're behind the sticks and it's third and long, third and 12, third and 39, I get it. Like, Derrick Henry might not need to be on the field. But maybe consider doing some 2-back sets with maybe Justice and Derrick Henry. Maybe the ball's not going to Derrick Henry and he's still using that play as, kind of like rest because he doesn't have to run down the field or get the handoff. But I think we do ourselves a better service if we have the threat of Lamar and Derrick Henry on the field for as many plays as we can. I understand he has to go off, get his rest and everything like that. He's a 30-something year old back. Like, I get it. But I noticed that, on these crucial downs, it's really just Lamar ball at that point. And, what can he do? What can he do? And I think that if Derrick Henry is on the field with some of those crucial downs, I think it'll be a little bit more unpredictable for the defense to where they're respecting Derrick Henry, but that gives Lamar even a greater window to make a great play and a higher percentage of making plays. So that'd be my only critique. Obviously, the penalties were still there. I think we had like 9 penalties for over 100-something yards. Can't have it. We've been preaching that the last few weeks. But all in all, good team win. Baltimore Ravens is probably one of the best teams in the league when it comes to being able to respond. So I can appreciate that. However, being able to respond means nothing in playoff games. So even though I appreciate that they can respond to these regular season games so we have a chance, we still have to get to the point where we're going to be preparing ourselves for a playoff game where, we shouldn't have to respond to a terrible game. We need to continue to work on being consistent. And, if we can continue to build off consistency, then I think we'll be fine in the long run. We just still haven't seen it yet. So it's a good game, but it's kind of hard to celebrate because it's like, we're playing like we were supposed to have been playing. We was playing like we were supposed to have played last week. We just want to see it on a more consistent basis. So good game this week, and, time to get ready for these Eagles.
I said last week on the pod, our backfield needs 40 touches for us to be successful. We ended up with 38 touches. 38 touches. So I'm okay with that. I said we need 70 plays. I think we had like 59 plays, which we probably would have hit 70 if it wasn't for that weird first quarter where we ran like 7 plays the whole quarter. I'm not I'm not mad with the result. There's just so much room for improvement. That's what's frustrating with this team. When we win, you see there's so much opportunity because what you all talk about, penalties. Imagine we didn't have penalties. Imagine if we came out the gate strong. There's just so much opportunity. This team has so much talent and constantly shooting itself in the foot some way, somehow. And that comes back to main man Harbaugh, just the discipline with this team. I don't know if it's getting through. There's no reason we should be leading the league in penalties at all. We just have to improve in that area because come playoff time, it counts. And there's no coming back from shooting yourself in the foot playoff time. It's win or go home. But let me go back to some positivity. Lamar, after that first quarter, he heated up. I love the throws, even the one Bateman dropped, because you're going to have to make those throws as a top-tier quarterback. An elite quarterback that just throws people open all the time. They put the ball where it needs to be for their guys to catch it. So, I was really pleased how Lamar just improved over the course of the game and got hot. I'm also impressed with the fact that our offense can be efficient when Lamar is not getting 30, 40, 50 yards rushing. It seems as if he doesn't have to be a threat anymore. Because when you look over the course of the season, he started out the season running for 100 yards, 80 yards, 90 yards. And I think he had like 400 yards rushing after like 5 weeks. I think he's only at 599 now. So like his rushing has gone down a lot. And he's really just become a threat from the pocket mainly. So that's encouraging because that's what we're going to need in the playoffs. I'm just also impressed that our wide receivers responded. Overall, a good game from the receivers. They battled back after some errant passes early. The Bateman drop, which was a tough catch, but you just got to make it. But they responded, and it ended up being a solid game. I gotta give kudos to Bateman, man. I be hating on that man hard, man, but he has really stepped up this season, and it's good to see the progression. I look at him as a solid number 2 for us now, and it's good to see that. But most importantly, man, Derrick Henry. This guy looks clumsy at times, tripping over his linemen, just falling down randomly. But this guy, he really makes plays when needed. I'm thinking of that, I think it was like 3rd and short, and he stiff arms 2 people when he was running to the outside.
It was crazy.
I was like, this isn't your Gus Edwards Ravens. So, so I'm just really impressed. I'm impressed of how we just progress offensively throughout the game. To speak to the Keaton Mitchell thing, I think Keaton Mitchell's going to have a nice little role towards the end of the season because I think they're going to have to preserve Derrick Henry because those carries are getting up there now. Even if you include the games where he wasn't as involved, the carries are getting up there. So we're going to have to preserve him. He's 30 years old. He's a big guy. Pause. So you're going to have to preserve him. And then, to talk to the I guess the lack of balance with how we call the game with Justice and Derrick Henry. Monken's really going to have to establish Justice as a threat in the running game if they're going to do this. I don't know why Derrick Henry isn't in there on passing plays because he was, I was looking at a PFF stat. He was top 5 in pass blocking with running backs last year. So I don't know why they're not using him in pass pro. Maybe there's just some favoritism and comfortability with Justice. But if you're going to do that on obvious passing downs, you got to establish Justice as a running threat. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless, and it makes you predictable, like Trey said. Defensively, pause, but yeah, like Miles said, man, they was hitting them dudes out there. They was hitting them hard. So it was physical. Like, it was good to see a Ravens defender be physical besides Kyle Hamilton this season. I think there was that one hit by Chris Board that I was just like, I was sitting here with my family like, what the heck? That was crazy. And I was sitting there like saying, man, why is Harrison playing? I hate Harrison. And then he just starts making play after play after play. So it was really encouraging to see them respond to my hate. I think maybe Zach Orr is starting to hit his stride a little bit. Maybe. As far as like game planning, I know he has a ways to go, but maybe he's finally hitting that stride that Mike McDonald hit after struggling early and getting the defense together. Maybe he's starting to figure things out. I didn't look to see like the percentage of man versus zone we played, but we're definitely playing more man than we did earlier in the year. And I think my only complaint defensively, penalties. I think there was a couple unnecessary penalties. But outside of that, I think we played solid, man. I really love Kyle Hamilton being a deep free safety. I love him in the box as well. Pause. But I think he hey man. This thing's I think he just does a good job in that role. So maybe if we can get a competent safety, because obviously Marcus Williams is probably not playing the rest of the year. He got one snap. But if we could have somebody to just spot Kyle Hamilton so he could play closer to the line sometimes, that'd be great. But him and Arcarius, playing those two safety roles, they've been really solid. Last but not least, I have some trivia for Corey and Trey and Miles. Who leads the Ravens defense in sacks this year?
Let
me look it up.
Is it Kyle Van Noy?
I think it's Owe.
It's Owe.
Okay.
Half a sack.
He's tied with Van Noy, but that's besides the point.
Oh, okay. All right. So I went wrong.
I was just want to address the Owe haters in the room. And me being an Owe supporter here, he is 2 sacks away from double-digit sack year. So I just want to shout out Owe. We need more consistency still, but he's taking that leap. He's taking that leap to the next level, to being a solid defender. He's always been great as a run defender, but for him to start showing up and getting sacks instead of just getting in the backfield has been key for this defense. So, overall, solid game. Harbaugh's a freaking idiot, but we got that 4th down in that first half. So yeah, I have minimal complaints this week.
Yeah.
No, I was going to ask you guys too. So when you said about the defensive performance, and Zach Orr figuring it out, I think we said during the game when JK left, the entire offense changed. Right? It felt like Greg Roman. It felt like a Greg Roman game for the Ravens. Right? Once their main threat was gone, or either the main threat was like neutralized by the defense, it felt like the game plan just they just threw their hands up. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do. But yeah, the Quentin Johnston drop, especially the drag, he had like a drag route over the middle. They said on TV, they're like, man, Troy Aikman was mad at him because he's like, all he thought was green. He's like, if he catches that ball, turns up field, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. So there were definitely plays up on the field, but with JK leaving the game, we saw how effective he was when he was in there. Do you think we have to maybe give a little bit of a asterisk for Zach Orr in this game, considering that J.K. Dobbins left and all was left was Gus Edwards, who's basically getting no kind of yardage after the line of scrimmage? So do we have to give Zach Orr a little bit of an asterisk for this?
I do. I give the whole defense an asterisk when JK left, because it did not look like that when he was in the game. I mean, it just is what it is. As soon as he left, the game plan, like I said, it changed because the Chargers became one-dimensional. So, that's these games where we're piling up sacks on teams without a run game, or all of a sudden, being able to just pin your ears back and go and rush the QB because they're throwing a ball. It is different to me. So it's like, yeah, I put an asterisk next to it, even though I still think this is good for them. This is still a step in the right direction. It's still building off of the previous week. So they get all the credit for that. But we saw how the first quarter and change went. Like JK looked like he was on the way to carving us up. Unfortunately he went out with an injury, but the game plan shifted. So I think you do put an asterisk up there, but I don't think they didn't gain anything. I don't think they did not learn anything from this game either. I do think they still took steps forward and and what they need to be better throughout the rest of the season. But I still put a little asterisk there. Maybe a small one.
There are no asterisks in football, Trey.
There's an asterisk there.
Look, we didn't have Roquan. That changed our game plan. We had to go and hold this team under 20 points with Malik Harrison and Chris Board. Chris Board hasn't had a defensive role in probably 3 years.
They were on the field when JK was on the field.
Yeah, they were there.
I get it,
but they were getting blocked. They were getting blocked into oblivion on those first couple drives.
Malik Harrison was playing in coverage and not getting completely destroyed. I just think we have to give them credit. They didn't have Roquan, who's a big part of our defense. This is the same defense that had Jameis Winston looking like Peyton Manning. I think we gotta give him credit. We gotta give him credit. I get that there's no JK, the game plan altered, but there have been times when the Ravens have gotten up big on opponents, and the game plan has changed, or we could pin our ears back, and we just didn't. You know what I mean? So I want to give credit where credit's due, really, because my man Owe was doing his thing. I love to see, the people I hate on, mainly Malik Harrison, play well. So I want to give him credit where credit is due. I mean, because we've seen throughout the season, in those situations, we get destroyed.
No, you're right. I think a lot of us said that. I think on Twitter and stuff, I saw plenty of people I gotta apologize to Malik Harrison, because I think all of us felt the same thing. Oh no, Malik Harrison, and he balled out. Now I think for most of the game they had Malik on the outside. He kind of played on the outside a little bit more. And they had Chris Board and Welch in the middle, but he played phenomenal. I think, especially in the run stop area. I know this is more for the Eagles thing, but I guess I'll ask you this question now. With Saquon Barkley coming into town, there's not a likelihood of him leaving the game after the first half. Do you think that they kind of continue this rotation, even if Roquan comes back this Sunday, of still keeping Board, Harrison, and now maybe Roquan kind of shuffling that mix around a little bit, because they did look good in the run stop most of the game. Even I'll get it as Gus Edwards, it's not JK, but they did a pretty good job. Do you think they continue that rotation of linebackers?
Yeah, I think when Ro does come back, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I do like the physicality that Malik Harrison and Chris Board brought to the defense. Honestly, I mean, they was, like Travis said, they were thumping out there. They were knocking people's heads off in that game. And I don't think we take that completely away. I think it'll probably serve everybody better to just keep kind of a fresh rotation in there on defense, because we've seen previous games where it seems like our defense, our linebackers kind of get wore down a little bit, especially when teams start passing crazy on us and the coverage just gets too wild for them, too complicated. Maybe it might benefit us to kind of keep that going. I mean, we definitely want to still have Roquan in there and leading the pack, but I wouldn't mind it. I would not mind having kind of a rotation or finding a way to incorporate having them on the field together. I'm not sure how they would do it, but yeah, I think it'll benefit. I don't think it'll be any issues with that. I think it can only help, and I'm not sure. Roquan's injury is a hamstring, so it's one of those things where they're going to probably have to put him on a pitch count anyway when he does come back, just to kind of monitor how he's doing with it. Because Roquan, there's no 80% for him. Like he only plays 100%, or he's not, or he can't do anything about it. So he's going to have to go full speed. And if that hamstring ain't right, we're going to need those other guys anyway. But yeah, I think you definitely find a way to incorporate. I don't think they're going to have a choice to. I mean, they showed us that they can hang with the best. Now with Saquon, like I said, coming back, we're dealing with a different monster this week.
It's different, yeah.
Very, very different monster this week. Saquon can stay on the field all 4 downs if he chooses to. When he goes off the field is because he says he needs a breather. It's not like, come on out, this is not your down. He's staying out there. But at least we know what the game plan is for the Eagles. The game plan will be for them to run the ball. So, they have kind of carved out their identity, even though, Nick Sirianni's has been having issues with play calling and things like that. And just the philosophy's just been all jacked up with Saquon in the backfield. But they figured that out over the last 2 weeks, and they've been giving him the rock heavily. So, it's not like we're not coming into that game not knowing what to expect from the Eagles and from Saquon Barkley. So I think the fact that, if Orr can get a good game plan, just centered around stuffing that run, I think we can do okay against Hurts after that. But yeah, I think we keep the rotation going. I think the fresher legs, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And Corey pointed it out. Trenton Simpson's snaps went down a lot.
Yeah.
He played like 27 snaps in the game. And it seems like he's been pushed down the pecking order. So we need more from him because he brings that speed element, the athleticism. We're going to need that in a game where we're going against the most athletic running back in the league. So, Trent Simpson's going to step up, but I love the rotation. Guys were fresh, and I don't know how many times we said that this year, where we feel that our defense is fresh, looks rested, and looks active. So, yeah, I'm with it.
I do like the fact that we've seen guys like Marcus Williams, Eddie Jackson, Trenton Simpson, guys we expected to make us 2 step up for this team that haven't stepped up, but the guys on the second in the depth chart have stepped up, like a Darius Washington coming in and being a solid safety in that position. Chris Board, and they bring on Welch, off the practice squad. They sign him off the street. And also, Board and Malik Harrison stepping up, at least in that game. So that's always been the Ravens mentality, right? There's always been a Ravens mentality thing of next man up. If the guy ahead of you isn't performing or gets hurt, it's your turn. Like you got to step up for this game. So, like again, I think they can't just rest on the laurels of like this first string guys. If they're not having a day-to-day, don't be afraid to like, hey, we got maybe take some snaps away and give it to somebody else. Today may not be your day. It happens. Not everybody has a great day. And speaking of that, like Corey just said about Lamar and the way he's been throwing the football early in these last 2 games, Steelers game especially, and then this game where the ball has sailed out of his hand, like on guys that have been wide open, like especially to say, like they've been sailing on him. It got better as the game went on. Do you think maybe it's an injury thing, or Lamar again playing too tight? Maybe is he playing too tight sometimes in the beginning of these games and has to wait to cool down? Like why is the ball just? He hasn't been doing this all year. Like for the most of the season, these things the passes have been accurate, and now the last 2 games it just feels like what is he throwing to? It's not. I think there was that one throw to Zay, and Zay was in the end zone. And Lamar threw it, and you see Lamar like tell him to jump. Zay Flowers is like 5. Come on now, Zay Flowers like dog. Like come on, man. I can't. Who do you think I am? Like I'm not going to get that. So it's like Lamar has been overthrowing uncharacteristically this year. Not this year, but at least the last couple games. Do you think that's anything much to do about nothing, or is there a little something there?
I'm not putting too much on it. I think in this Chargers game specifically in that first quarter, there were like I know there were two obvious high passes along the sideline. I think on both sides of the sideline where he threw high passes. I don't know what that was about, but that's not nothing that I remember seeing too much of, from him. Like I said, I haven't really seen it all year. But the two high passes, like I don't know, like it's not like he did it the rest of the game. That one Zay play, like you said, in the end zone, I think he wanted more so just Zay to challenge the defender more than anything. I think he wanted him to jump, but the ball sailed, but the defender kind of adjusted to it, and Zay kind of didn't. He just kind of was running. So I think it was more of that. But yeah, those two sideline passes that he threw, one to Zay, and I can't remember who the other one was to on the other side. They were really high, but I'm not concerned because it hasn't been like it hasn't been a chronic thing. I mean, it's really just seen it. That was really the two most obvious ones I've seen this year. Really, I mean, we've seen a couple overthrows, but just the high sailing out of bounds. That I'll just chalk that up, put it in a vacuum for this week. I'm not really thinking too much of it.
And typically, what you expect coming out the gate is like the OC to like get your quarterback in a rhythm. So, it just looked like he was just out of rhythm. Like, I don't, like Trey said, I don't think it's much about nothing, but you'd expect some easy throws early on to get your quarterback in rhythm so that his mechanics are set. He's not like has bad footwork or anything. Mm-hmm. So I think, if this is an issue, like the resolve is really just to give Lamar some easy throws early on. That way he can get in rhythm, get in the feel of the game. That way it's not an issue.
Did y'all notice that we didn't really see the Zay, screen passes or
that's not this game. They usually do one or two of those. They usually do one or two of those a game. I haven't seen it last week.
That's usually how we start the game.
Yeah, I was shocked. Especially us going 3 and out the first drive. I thought maybe on the second drive they might go to it, but I think we ran every play or something. I can't remember, but
also like we haven't seen like the Justice Hill screen plays, and usually those work.
Yeah,
they did not work this week. They look bad.
Yeah.
So
they weren't blocked. The blocking was bad on those. Like I don't know.
It was.
I don't know what
they've been good most of the year, surprisingly, right? Because they were not known as a screen team. They've been really good this year, but this Chargers game was not great.
Yeah.
But week 12 around the NFL. We'll start with I'll start with the Dolphins real quick. Dolphins getting a win against the Patriots. Dolphins trying to make their way back into the playoff mix. They're trying to. 34-15. They look decent, halfway decent for the most part. It's one of those things where like I was gonna bet on the game. I was gonna bet on Tua, but I'm like, with his injury concern, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna make. I don't. Each week you just wonder so you don't get the alert. Tua is out with a concussion. Like you're just waiting for the alert to come through. But he threw 29 of 40, 4 touchdowns, 317 yards. Jalen Waddle had 8 catches for 144 yards. So they're 5-6. They're not out of it at all. They're not out of it. They could. This AFC, like I said again, I said about the Ravens. The AFC is getting. When you look at the playoff picture for the AFC, it's real tight. It's real tight. There are a lot of teams that are only a win away from each other. While the NFC seems more kind of defined right now, who's going to make it and who's not. The AFC is real, just like it's going to get real. It's going to be mixing with good football the last few weeks for sure. But solid win by the Dolphins there for that game. Shout out to the Browns on Thursday Night Football beating the Steelers. Look, it was a great, like it was one of those old school football games. The snow starts coming down. I think they showed when the video, like on the same drive, right? The field is green, and then 10 minutes later, it's covered in snow. And I mean, that snow was like coming down because they showed the crowd in the stands, all their like hats, cloaks, everything was just covered in snow. But it made for a phenomenal game. Jameis Winston, as always, with his phenomenal, just the man, like I think you got to him and Keon Coleman need to get together and just do a show. They just need to do a show. Yeah. Like I would watch that. I would watch them just talk. And he went. I think after the game, had a snowball fight after the game was over. They made snow angels after the game and stuff. Where the Amazon Prime crew was down there and stuff. So good game, just a solid win for the Browns for us because it helped us get back into the division race. So for sure. George Pickens after the game saying that, the snow, they're not a good football team. The snow definitely helped them. I'm like, dog, you play in Pittsburgh. Come on, man.
And there was no snow in the first half, and I believe they were losing.
They were losing. Yeah, I'm like, what's the excuse, man? That was literally only like the last 30, maybe the last 25, 30 minutes of the game where the snow actually started to impact the game. And Chubb was still running. Chubb still scored a touchdown in the snow. So I'm like,
Jerry Jeudy was going off in that snow.
He
He was catching everything. Crazy.
So I like George Pickens as a player, but it feels like to me he's becoming a little more unhinged. Like he's doing a lot. Like he's fighting guys that are not even involved in the plays. Even that Hail Mary throw, he was nowhere near.
He was scrapping. He was in the middle
trying to catch the football. Nowhere near trying to catch the football. And he's on the other, everybody's kind of centered in like that right part of the end zone. And he's in the back of the end zone with a headlock around,
scuffling with the safety.
Like, come on, man! Like, what are you doing here? Like, you're the best. You're the main one that should be trying to catch the football there. He's nowhere near the play. So I don't know. It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like he's a great player, but I don't know. You got to calm it down.
Any given Sunday, man.
Yeah, any given Sunday. Buccaneers beat the Giants. Baker Mayfield does the Danny DeVito. A lot of people were. It was real fast. Like it looked disjointed.
It made it funnier. It made it funnier.
And they even. I did like his statement after the game where they asked him, "Was like, yeah, I didn't know you were tired." He's like, "Oh, I haven't done my 23andMe yet, so maybe I could be." I was like, that was a good statement right there. That was a good statement. That was a good 23andMe. That was hilarious.
I'm definitely a Baker fan, man.
Yeah, it's like. I didn't like him when he was with the Browns for obvious reasons because it's a division rival. But I liked Baker since he came out of college. Just like him as a player and stuff. I don't think he's going to be an elite quarterback, but he's a solid quarterback. Yeah. Cowboys beat the Commanders 34-26.
Kickers,
wild game because I think they showed in the fourth quarter like it was like maybe 5 minutes left on the clock and it was still within like maybe 30 points total between the two teams. And then it ended up 34-26. And he had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had an 80-yard catch for a touchdown where he ran into the end zone untouched. There was a couple missed field goals in this game. But I'll say this, for the Commanders, do you think they're now trending downwards? Like you lose a game now to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. The defense for the Cowboys won that football game. The defense won that game for the Cowboys for the most part. Do you feel like maybe – I'm not okay. Look, they're not dead in the water, right? They're not dead in the water as far as the playoffs are concerned. But I think the Commanders definitely have overperformed for what we expected this year. I don't think by any means, however they finish, it's a failure. You have a lot to look forward to going into next season. But it may feel like right now that they kind of just ran out of gas a little bit. Losing to the Cowboys is gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt. I don't know. I'm looking at their schedule now. They got Titans, Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys again. Okay. So it's not really an easy stretch. I mean, we just saw the Titans beat the Texans. Yeah. The Texans. Not that the Texans have been on my high list either, but we just saw them take care of the Texans. We got the Saints, which any given Sunday for those guys. I mean, Taysom Hill's been playing out of his mind for some strange reason. And then you got the Eagles and Falcons. So they got a tough road ahead. It's not going to be easy. I think in this particular game, I don't know what it was, but for some reason, it didn't seem like Terry, up until the end of the game, he just wasn't really winning his matchups. Mm-hmm. It kind of seemed like they had a Greg Roman offense running for a little bit. I mean, Jaden Daniels was doing a lot of RPOs, a lot of design QB runs, a lot of scrambles because guys weren't getting open. I don't know if he just didn't want to make mistakes or if he just wasn't throwing the ball downfield, but we didn't get a ton of that. Brian Robinson got hurt for a little bit, but he did end up coming back in. But yeah, just one of those weird games. Like I don't know why the Cowboys decided to show up for this game. Honestly,
divisional
games you cannot call it. I mean, the Browns I think the Browns have the best divisional record in our division right now. They got 2 divisional wins and one divisional loss, I think. So you just can't call it in these divisional games. It is a loss to Cooper Rush. It is. It's a loss to Ezekiel Elliott and Dowdle. It is. It don't look good. I mean, especially for their defense. I mean, defense allowing 34 points. I guess the special teams allowed that one touchdown, but I don't think it says too much about them. I just think that game plan, they just were not ready for it. Unfortunately they got to play in Dallas the last game of the season. So not that that's going to be, maybe they have the number. I'm not sure if it's just a fluke. I mean, if the kicker kicks that extra point and makes it, we might be talking about something different today. But their road ahead isn't too promising. And now they have, I think, 5 losses. Do they have 5 losses or 6?
5 and 5.
They can easily end up with 7 losses. I mean, with that Eagles game, that Falcons game, that's assuming they win everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could mean they're going in the wrong direction. I don't think this game is an indicator that they're not what their record indicated early on, but it's definitely not a good look. Now, if they struggle against these Titans next week or this week coming up, then I'll have a different take.
Remember when they said Jaden Daniels was a better passer right now than Lamar?
They said Lamar was a bargain. Jaden Daniels. They said all that.
Yeah, I was
Commanders fans were saying that. I was like, I need to chill.
Yeah, he's barely at 60% completion percentage over the past 5 games.
He threw two interceptions in that game too against the Cowboys.
Yep.
2 TDs, 2 picks.
Yeah, so speaking of CJ Stroud, Titans beat the Texans 32-27. I definitely did not have that there. CJ Stroud pretty much ends the game by running out of bounds in the back of the end zone causing a safety. Like Corey said, I get it. Nico Collins was been out off and on throughout the year. You lose Stephon Diggs, but Mixon has been playing well for the most part. Like he's going through a sophomore slump. It's a thing. There's a reason why they call it a sophomore slump in football. It's a thing. This guy was, on the MVP list last year after several games where he threw over 400 yards and 3+ touchdowns. He was, unanimous rookie of the year. Wasn't even a question. But, this year has been much of a struggle. And that happens when they have more tape on you, especially a division rival like the Titans. They have more film. They've been studying your tendencies a little bit more. And this is why the NFL is why pro sports in general. And I don't care what sport it is, hockey, baseball. When you get to the pros, it's difficult. This isn't college. This isn't high school. There's a reason why, when you see the great players become great, is that no matter what film you have on them, no matter what tendencies you see, they still ball out. I'm still going to get mine. Regardless of what you do, I'm still going to get mine. And playing the quarterback position, it makes it even more difficult because you have the ball in your hand every single play. And they put a lot around him, to succeed this year, but he's been struggling. That's what it is. I'm not going to write him off and say that, that he's washed or anything. It's a sophomore slump. Now, if this goes into next season, then there's something to talk about because, Bryce Young, even though they lost to the Chiefs, Bryce Young had probably one of his best games of his career. They lost, but they're still one of his best games. So look, I'm not saying this is early. This is early to say right now. There's a real possibility that Bryce Young could be a better quarterback than CJ Stroud long term. It does happen where guys flash early and then trail off, and then guys start slow and get better. We saw with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning in his first 4 years was not good, and then something clicked, and then he became what he became. So, I will say, Stroud has better organizational help.
For sure.
He has more to work with. Bryce Young may have to kind of overcome a lot more, maybe even get traded to another team before he maybe hits his potential. But it's still a wait and see. These guys are still young QBs. And then the expectations coming into this year are a lot higher than last year. No one expected them with a rookie quarterback to do what they did and get to the playoffs. This year's a lot more expectations. They came in. A lot of people predicted them to be division winners and all this other stuff. So that's a lot of that too. You got to handle. So, but again, I'm not going to write the Texans off. I'm not going to write Stroud off this early. Sophomore slump. It is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely did not expect them to be 7-5. Texans are probably one of my favorite teams coming into, in the off season, coming into this season. I I had super high expectations for them. Even in their division, like for them to be 7-5 right now. And honestly, CJ Stroud has been super average. I'm not gonna call him mid because I just think that's a little disrespectful, but he's been super average. He got outplayed by Will Levis. You can't get outplayed by Will Levis. And I don't care. Like, it's a division game, yes, but you can't let Will Levis do that to you. You threw 2 picks in this game, but I will say, more than this being CJ Stroud's fault, they couldn't run the ball on Sunday. Joe Mixon is the reason why they win games, typically, and he had 22 yards rushing, and nobody else rushed the ball in the entire game. Like, do they have a backup running back over there? Like, it was Joe Mixon, 14 carries, 22 yards. CJ Stroud scrambled 3 times for 18 yards. There was no other running back on the box score at all. So this is pretty alarming. I mean, you have Nico Collins, Tank Dell. You got a decent tight end in Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon in your backfield. And y'all can't get the dub over Tennessee. That's not a good look. It's not a good look. And even more concerning, that defense. I mean, this is D'Amico Ryan's defense. I don't like this for them. It's not that I'm not a Texans fan, but I like D'Amico Ryans. I like CJ Stroud. Joe Mixon, like I said, he's probably been the best addition. Out of all the weapons they have, he's probably the best addition. And it's kind of similar to us almost. Like, if Joe Mixon is not having a good day, the Texans are not having a good day. And that's the crazy part, because Joe Mixon is usually having a good day. But 14 carries, 22 yards, no scores for Joe Mixon. That's a recipe for disaster. And CJ Stroud, I'll say this about a sophomore slump. It's very weird. I know sophomore slump is a thing. It's very weird, though, to have a slump like this with the weapons that you have. Yeah. And I watched the game. Like, I can see these passes you're throwing. Some of them are hitting the dirt. Like, he's just throwing balls in the dirt. They're not making it to the receivers. He does not look that good against pressure in whatever scheme he's in, whatever offense this is in. Under pressure, he's not looking great at all. Like, maybe in a pocket with time, he's decent. But what I've noticed, like, if there's a lick of pressure, he has been very, very wildly inaccurate with the football. I mean, he's doing just enough, like I said, to win games. But like, a lot of that is leaning on the heels of Joe Mixon. But I'm a little bit concerned, not because they lost the division game, but just because of the roster that they have.
Yeah, and the eye test tells us that his mechanics are failing. He doesn't look comfortable. Like you said, when that pass rush comes, he is not comfortable. He's rushing throws, or he's kind of like just folding in the pocket. He's not stepping up, making strong throws. And yeah, even with Diggs out, the weapons are crazy. Because even when you look at the tight ends, like Stover is something there too. Yeah. I look at the Texans as a boom or bust team. They make big plays, but they're not consistent throughout the course of a game. They're not good for 60 minutes. Defensively, they're boom or bust. They'll give you 8 sacks. They'll give you a pick 6. You can move that ball up in the field on them the whole game. So that's kind of the story here. Like, they're just not consistently stout on either side of the ball, but they're dynamic enough to make big plays. And that I think sums up why they're 7-5. So yeah, they have to figure out some things. They definitely have to figure out some things. I think it was telling that they said something about CJ Stroud when an announcer said they talked to him and he kind of like doesn't care about interceptions. He said, I don't let those define me, because when you make a mistake at life, you got another chance to make it right. So that's how he looks at interceptions.
Not always.
And if I'm a head coach, I'm not liking that answer from my quarterback.
No. Yeah. You don't always got the opportunity to make it right, and that's the problem. You only get 4 quarters.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, on to our favorite segment, Bells and Pookies this week. I'm going to let you guys go this week. So I don't see you. I will wait.
I bet.
I will wait to the end.
Man, this is the week where I didn't write anything down, so I'm going to go off the top of the head. Bells. We're starting with Bells, right? I'm gonna give it to Bryce Young, man. You stood in the ring with Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
You were throwing punches. You were looking pretty accurate with the football. I mean, he was making okay decisions. I think he did everything he could in his power to win that game. And just to see where he's been to where he's at now, he looked a lot better, especially with Adam Thielen back in the roster, back off injured reserve, having another weapon. Clearly Deontay Johnson probably just wasn't it for him at the time. We're kind of seeing some reminiscences of that. That's another story. But Bryce Young is going to get the belt for me this week, and I'll even go as far as to say I'm not even going to name another belt because I'm gonna give him that credit. He's caught enough Pookies up here from me, so I'll give him the standalone bell from my end because I mean it's no easy task. I don't care how the Chiefs look to go on there against that defense and play the way that he played, even in a loss. But just solid win for them. It's a good sign going forward. At least for him individually, if not for the organization, because who knows, they still have time to mess this up. But I'll give him all the credit this week.
Well, that's all you got?
That's all. I'm gonna just leave it. I'm gonna just give him the credit. I gave him so many Pookies. I'm gonna let him shine as my sole bell for this week, even though there's a few more I can list, but I'm gonna give him his credit this week.
All right, cool. I got a couple. So one, I want to give it to like the Packers organization because they moved on from the toxicity of Aaron Rodgers and bet the organization on a bunch of young receivers, young tight ends, and Jordan Love. And last year they looked really good, went pretty deep in the playoffs. And this year they're right back in the thick of things, competing for the division title. Probably it's going to be in the Lions because I don't see where they're going to lose going forward. But like that team, I find it hard to really fathom how they've been able to be better after moving on from their franchise quarterback, especially with so much young talent. So kudos to the organization to be able to retool and improve. Also, I want to give one to Will Levis for not being a meme.
No, he caught one this week.
All right. When
he threw the pick six, when he started the track, he started running with his head all the way down.
Like he was already ready for it, right?
He was already ready for it.
All right, let me rephrase. Will Levis for moving away from being Pookey of the year.
There you go.
A lot better.
To getting a possible, if he keeps on, he might get another bell for me next week. But he's been playing well, and it's really weird to see, these young quarterbacks, they get benched and they come back so much stronger, and it's good to see though. But you wonder like what is the root of their success going forward? Is it just you needed a chance to like see the game from a different perspective so it can start to slow down for you? I don't know, but Levis and Rice, really good to see them bouncing back. So really, really excited for them. And then Tua, I got to give him a bell just because he's been able to bounce back from all these concussions. I worry about that man every week, and him like pushing Miami to try or at least attempt for a playoff spot. That was real good to see putting up those numbers he did. So those are my belts.
Yeah, Tua's they got to play in Green Bay. They got to play in Green Bay on Thanksgiving night. So it's gonna be like 20, 30 degrees.
Interesting.
Pray for that, man. Pray for that, man. I'm gonna give my bell to the running backs, the running back position this year. You look at what Derrick Henry's doing, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, who are all free agents this year on new teams, and all three of them are revitalizing the importance of the running back position this year. We've seen a lot of pass yards are coming down. There's not a lot of the games where guys are throwing 300 yards consecutively now. It seems like for at least the last year. But these running backs are balling out. They're showing how important they are to these teams. Look at Derrick Henry for the Ravens, 140 yards and 24 carries. Saquon getting 300 yards by himself from the line of scrimmage in this past game. Josh Jacobs is, I think Jordan Love only threw like 100-something yards, 77 yards in that game against the who they play against the 49ers, and they won 38-10. So it's showing the importance of the running back position. And so shout out to them. They've been fighting for years now. You've been seeing the money coming down over the last couple of years. Maybe going forward, teams will start paying attention to these. You just can't say, oh, we're going to find another guy. Like, no, when you got a guy, they make a difference on your team. So shout out to the running backs for them. Another bell go to the Cowboys, getting a W. After just getting
still not a home game.
It wasn't a home game, right? Getting their doors blown off at home for the last several weeks, just down and out. I mean, you got players doing rap videos at the end of the game, not really caring about whatever,
Right.
you know. Micah Parsons calling out Mike McCarthy, saying he doesn't really do the work and all this other stuff, but they got the W. You know, they went into the Commanders field with Dan Quinn, their old defensive coordinator, and the defense won the football game for them. So they did a good job getting the W there. So, you know, I don't know if that's going to mean anything for the rest of the season at this point. That may be one of those we got the monkey off our back for now, but who knows what's going to hold for them for the next few weeks. And another bell goes to Jameis Winston, you know, getting the W in the snow. You know, I know, look, he hasn't played meaningful football in a while. And considering the situation in Cleveland and, you know, the Joe Flacco already in Indianapolis right now, it's a real possibility going forward that Jameis could be their starting QB next season, depending on what happens with the Deshaun Watson stuff. I'm pretty sure the Cleveland wants any kind of reason to move on from Deshaun Watson, any kind of reason. And it just seems like this team responds to him well, too. Like the team really responds to Jameis Winston, him in the locker room, and just like, I guess, his mentality and everything else. So shout out to Jameis and from the Browns. All right. On to our Pookies. I'll let you guys go first again. There's a Pookies out there.
I got two Pookies. And in a win against the Chargers, you know, it kind of pains me to give two Pookies to two Ravens because we won the game. And usually when we win the game, we don't give our Ravens the Pookies.
Yeah.
But I'm not letting John Harbaugh off the hook. Y'all saw how the end of that game went.
Yeah.
Y'all saw how the end of that game went. And by no means was that game over. And for some reason, he just went into conservative mode. And we went immediately 3-and-out and gave them the ball right back. And what did the Chargers do? They went down and scored immediately. Mm-hmm. And that game ended up being 30-23. If they would have got the onside kick, who knows what's going to happen? So just more coaching blunders. Like we can go in, dominate a football game, and John Harbaugh pops out, not so fast. I can still find a way for y'all to lose this. And you just get a Pookie for that because these are just coaching decisions that with all of the years of experience you have, these are mistakes that you just don't make. There was no need for us to go ultra conservative in that last drive. And I think we did it with Justice Hill in the backfield. I think it was almost like we don't even need these yards. We're just running clock. Like, do you not realize they have 3 full timeouts right now? Like, it's just bad coaching at the end of a dominant game that we've had. And he had a chance to kind of throw it all away, even though the chances were low because of what the score was. Teams have gotten onside kicks on us. Like, stop acting like your memory, like you can't remember these things when I can remember them. I'm at home sitting on the couch making zero money from this football team. Anyway, that's beside the point. He's Pookie number 1. Yeah. Pookie number 2, pains me to say, Isaiah Likely.
Oh,
I'm gonna tell you why. Not because how we played. We didn't need Isaiah Likely in that game, and that's perfectly fine. I think he had maybe one. No, he had 0 catches. He didn't do anything. And this is why he's getting the Pookie, because he recovered the onside kick and immediately started talking trash to the sideline. Why are you talking trash? You literally did nothing. Like, I can see if you did something. You literally did nothing. And the score is 30-23. Like, come on. Like, we're the most penalized team in the league. Not that penalty probably would have mattered, but you don't know the situation at this point. You're a player. You're not really thinking strategy at this point. We don't even know, like, anything can happen. I'm not talking trash to the other team after recovering an onside kick when I had 0 catches in the game. If I went off, do your thing. Like, I went off. It is what it is. but you literally did nothing in this game. Maybe you block well, okay, but it's not the time to do this and like. We won the game, but let's not forget what our standard is. Our standard is not beating our stand. We're supposed to have beat them. Like, this is not a team we need to talk to. Like, we need to get the win, get on out of there, get on the plane, go home. Like, it just, I think I just had a problem. And I'm not against trash talk. I'm with it, but I'm with situational trash talk. And if we playing against a team that we supposed to be winning against, then I don't see the need to trash talk at the end when the game is already over. I can see if we beat this team 40-something to 7 or something, and it's like y'all cooked anyway. But they weren't cooked anyway. They had a chance to come back and tie the game at least. So he getting a Pookey. Isaiah Likely is still one of my favorite players on the team. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm just being very objective with my Bells and Pookies. And this week he just got one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with one. Kyler Murray. Remember when they said he was better than Lamar? Remember said he's just a great passer, Call of Duty legend, big contract. Said he should have got paid more than Lamar. Kyler Murray continues to prove that he is a middle of the pack quarterback. He is not a winning quarterback. He's not a quarterback taking you to the Super Bowl. Kyler Murray is mediocre. He's not a grad assistant, but I give him about 4 more years playing like this, and he will be an NFL practice squad quarterback. So, Kyler Murray, here's your Pookey.
Hey, Travis got a list of y'all on his wall, man. He got a list of y'all who said
we're gonna ask Travis who the Pookey of the year is.
Everybody said was better than Lamar. He got a list of y'all on the wall.
Yeah.
He ready to pull them cards.
Saquon's next. I feel some type of way about this MVP talk.
They heavy on that. They heavy on that too.
Okay. I'm gonna say my Pookey. I got 2. One of my Pookies goes to I think his name's Austin Siebert from the Commanders, missing an extra point after the 80-yard touchdown. The whole crowd was rocking, and he missed extra point
at home.
To tie the football game
at
to
home.
go to overtime.
That
was a killer.
It's tough.
It gave me PTSD for a little bit because, like, as a Ravens fan, we've been there already. We've been there. It's like you could just hear the air leave the stadium. You could just hear the air leave, and the Cowboys fans, like, you guys survived that game. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets one of my Pookies for that. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else really? Not Texas. We already talked about them. George Pickens gets a Pookey for me. Again, just not being involved in a big play. Just not being involved, like just fighting with random players on the other team. Like so that one play, I think, not the Ravens game, but a week before that, where I think Russell throws a pick and Pickens is over there tackling the safety away from the play. Like, it's just not being involved in plays. I don't understand him doing that stuff sometimes. I'm so surprised he hasn't been flagged for a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you. I'm surprised they haven't even thrown personal foul flags for a lot of this stuff. Like, it's getting ridiculous. So he gets a Pookey from me. Another Pookey goes to the national media in general for sports take, for these takes about the Eagles. Look, Eagles are a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're playing phenomenal football right now. The defense looks good. Saquon's playing at MVP level. But the talk this week was, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Like the Lions haven't been consistently the best team in the NFC all year. Like, literally, like, after 2 games now, everybody's picking the Eagles to be the Super Bowl favorite for the NFC. Have y'all forgot what the Lions have been doing to people every week? They've been blowing the doors off almost everybody been playing. Like, y'all just forgot about what the Lions have been doing. You just forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the recency bias from a lot of the national media it's infuriating. But I'll guarantee the Lions probably love it. They're like, yeah, go ahead and continue to just, because we're Detroit, because we're the Lions, just continue to just downplay us. So just that they get a Pookey from me for that.
I got one more, and I was gonna let this go, but I can't. Deebo Samuel getting a Pookey from me. Deebo Samuel. First of all, the Niners lost, I think, 38-10.
Yeah, they got whooped.
And Deebo Samuel had 1 catch for 21 yards. This is 1 week removed from mushing your kicker after he missed the kick last week.
Having his thighs out.
He immediately came back and responded with 1 catch and 21 yards, followed by multiple drops on 3rd down, right through his hands. He getting a Pookey from me, man. You can't mush your kicker. I was waiting for the kicker to come over the sideline and mush him back.
Yeah.
Deebo has literally contributed nothing to this offense, and it's almost to the point where he's the whole decoy effect isn't even good enough for him. Like, they're lining him up and they're treating him like a regular guy out there. So he getting a Pookey from me because what a trash way to respond to a trash action of yours last week.
All right, moving on to Ravens versus Eagles. Now, this is a big, just East Coast matchup in general. Baltimore and Philly, as the cities are pretty similar in attitude, kind of how we carry ourselves. And it's just old, like just good mid-Atlantic football. Like, it's just going to be a 4:00 game. The weather is going to be chilly. It's going to be cold. By the time the game starts around 4:25. So we got, it feels like a Super Bowl preview. I know it does. You got AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith on one side, Cooper DeJean on defense, and Slay and all those guys. Brandon Graham is out with I think he tore his tricep.
Out for the year.
Game.
Yeah,
he's out. So, but then on the Ravens side, you got Lamar, you got Derrick Henry, you got Kyle Hamilton, you got Zay Flowers. So you got all these stars, like literally from both sides, from both teams on each side of the ball, now converging in Baltimore on a 4:25 game. It's going to be, what we giving kudos to Zach Orr for the last 2 games defensively, what they've done. This is going to be the test for sure. You got a physical wide receiver in AJ Brown, speedy receiver in Devontae Smith. They still have the guy they got from the Commanders. I can't remember his name now.
Dotson.
They barely use him, but he's got like 100
Dotson.
yards all season. But he's still available out there. He still got, and he got to deal with Saquon. Like you said, he's on the field all 4 downs. You can utilize him in the slot, catch the ball in the backfield. He can run in between the tackles. He can do it all. He's an elite running back. And this Ravens defense, I think for this game is going to be the key. I'll say this, just kind of like that Steelers game. The key for this Ravens team is that line of scrimmage, the O-line for the Ravens and that defensive line for the Ravens. Because I will say, look watching, I think a couple of those touchdown runs from the Eagles, Landon Dickerson from the Eagles, that guy he physical. Like he was pushing, he was like he did a stiff arm to one of the linebackers, sent him flying like that, way backwards. Like they're gonna get a lot of physicality, kind of like what they got in the Pittsburgh game. There's gonna be a lot of physicality on that line. And what we've been saying, I think, and I think Corey said in the comments too a few weeks back, when they start playing these physical teams, they tend to struggle. Okay, they struggle against these really physical teams, and they're gonna be physical wide receivers. AJ Brown's gonna be fighting for the ball. Not sure who's going to be able to cover him. Like, I'm not putting Wiggins on him, and I don't want to put Stevens on him. Maybe I guess you put Tre'Davious White on AJ Brown, and maybe you let Wiggins cover Devontae Smith and Marlon again work the slot and stuff like that. But I think winning the line of scrimmage is going to be key. Keeping Saquon out of that second level is going to be key. When they do those swing passes to the outside, making sure they pick those up. I think that this would have been perfect if Marcus Williams was doing his job at free safety, allowing Kyle Hamilton to kind of roam, will be perfect for this game. It'll be perfect for this game, but he's going to be playing deep safety, so somebody else is going to have to kind of take that role. Just being physical at the point of contact for this Ravens team is going to be key. Also for the offensive side of the ball, fast start. This is a game they're going to have to be up quickly. I don't know. I do not like if the Ravens start slow, that they can kind of catch up in this game. I don't think we saw the way this Eagles offense has been running. When they're on a roll, especially when Saquon gets on a roll, it's going to be hard to stop. And I don't see anybody on defense right now, especially you look what Jamar Chase did his team a few weeks ago by himself. If he gets in a second level and wide open and the field's wide open, I don't know anybody that can stop him in open field. Like he's gone, hitting the goalpost. So winning the line of scrimmage, stopping big plays, nothing over 20 yards. I'm not saying they're not going to stop them from scoring, But if they can keep them under 30 points, this is a winnable football game for them. And look, Lamar's record against NFC teams is immaculate. He has one loss against NFC teams. But this Eagles team this year compared to what they were last year is a very different team. This team looks like a Super Bowl contender. And if the Ravens if Lamar said this is playoff mode now, and you're trying to get into the playoffs and make a statement for yourself, for the team that we can hang with the big boys, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. This is a lot of the NFC teams they faced over the years have been kind of like paper tigers, kind of, they were good against some mediocre teams, but the Eagles have been beating some pretty good teams down the stretch lately, looked good on offense. The defense has gotten better. They looked bad earlier in the year, but they fixed it. They have fixed it. It looked really good. Jalen Carter on that line for the Eagles is going to be a problem for Linderbaum and them. They got to figure that out. So figure it out. You're going to play some tough teams. This is going to be a tough one. You don't want to give up any ground to the Steelers or anything like that. So those are my keys to this game. Just be physical at the line of scrimmage, and I think everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think the key to this game is going to be the trenches. It's going to be the trenches. I mean, Eagles, they have a ferocious defensive line. I know Brandon Graham is out for the year now with that injury, but they got some guys over there that are just super, super physical in the trenches, and they've been giving teams problems. So I think our offensive line is probably due for maybe its biggest challenge yet. I know, they had to deal with Myles Garrett with the Cleveland game and everything like that, but collectively, this defensive line is like that. So I think it's going to be a challenge with the D line. I think it's going to be key for Lamar to be able to get the ball out quick, for us to design some plays where we can actually get the ball to our receivers quickly. But I do think they can be had in the run game still. I just think we need to go at them early and often. Like you said, I think we need a super fast start in this game. This is one of those games where, it might not work in our favor if we stall out the first few drives or stall out drives, period. This is one of those games where we probably need to put points on the board almost all of our drives if we can. So it's going to be a huge challenge for our offense. I do think there's opportunities in our pass game in this offense against this defense. I'm not sure if Darius Slay is going to be playing. I think he was ruled out with a concussion late in that game this week. So I'm not sure if he's going to be available, but if he's not, I think that's the side we're going to. Even if he is, I'm not that I think he's locked down or anything, but I think that's an opportunity to explore if he's not there. But I think we keep the main thing, and I think that's running the football. I think Keaton Mitchell could probably flourish in this game if we give him an opportunity to, especially on the outside. So there's a couple of things we didn't see in this Chargers game that I would like to see. I think a lot of those screen plays, a lot of those quick passes to get Zay in space, and some toss plays for Derrick Henry. Just catch the ball on the outside and just bulldoze his way through some DBs. I mean, they gotta get back to that. Maybe they were saving it from the tape for these guys because they probably going to need it more in this game. But I would like to see a lot more of that. And, for the most part, we have to do what we've been doing outside of, the lack of consistency with running the football. I think if we keep, like I said, run the ball over 20 times with Henry specifically himself, he should have at least over 20 himself and kind of, build the play action off of that. I think we'll be fine. Like, I'm not super scared of the defense. I think we're going to have to neutralize their pass rush with play action. I think we're just going to have to catch them slipping and kind of win that way. Lamar may have to use his legs a little bit more in this game, but he may not. So, either way, whatever gets us the win, I'm completely fine with. I just think that the one thing we can't not do is run the ball. We have to run the ball in the football game. And defensively, they got to play discipline in this game. I think that's the number one thing. Everybody has to kind of play really, really disciplined defense, or has to have this team ready to go in this game because Saquon Barkley, although I am super concerned, and he's on a mission right now because he is chasing the MVP trophy since everyone told him that he's in the race for it. We got to make sure that we don't let him run crazy on us. I'm not super concerned with him running the ball too much up the middle of the field, but that's kind of where his bread and butter has been over the last few weeks. But the fact that we're expecting it, I'm assuming we're going to have a game plan for it. But it's still Saquon Barkley. He's one of the best in the world, and we got to do our job up front with not even allowing him in space, because if he gets in space, if he's getting past that line of scrimmage, I don't have as much hope as I do as if we were stopping him before that. Like if once he's one-on-one with any of our DBs, even some linebackers, I don't really have that much faith that one-on-one he's getting tackled by anybody that on our defense. So we're going to need 11 hands to the ball every play. And they still have weapons on the outside too. We got AJ Brown, and my fear with him is that he's going to draw a lot of penalties, because we're going to be kind of draped over him. We're going to have to play physical defense. Even the DBs are going to kind of have to do that as well. And we kind of seen our DBs, they've been getting physical with the receivers, and for the most part, they've let us play. But it's going to be a little bit more obvious going up against AJ Brown. He's a different animal. And then Devontae Smith, deep threat, over the top. We have to have superb safety play, because that's they'll be so concentrated on Saquon Barkley and forget that Jalen Hurts can still beat you over the top with Devontae Smith here and there as well. So we got to stay disciplined at safety. Not that we haven't had pretty good safety play, in this past 2 weeks once they made those adjustments and left Eddie Jackson wherever he was at. Since we did that, we've been fine, but we got to keep that up as well. So all in all, I think it's going to be a really, really, really tough game for us, honestly. But I think the Eagles can be had. I mean, they're on a high right now, deservingly so. But I think if we take that number one threat away from them, however way we decide to do that, I think that'll prove good for the rest of the game. And be ready for that tush push, man. If we get them on a 1 yard line, I mean, we're going to figure out something with that. But it's no team in the league has been able to stop it yet. So not that we just kind of have to keep them out of those short down situations where they can just do that. But yeah, tough game overall. I think they can be had. It is an NFC game. Lamar loves those, and we are home, so we have a couple of things going for us. We just got to make sure Saquon Barkley doesn't go off, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to add too much, because Trey, I think you summed it up perfectly, man. We got to do what we've been doing. But I think the only thing I want to see is I want to see us get a little bit more hurry up early, just to kind of speed up the tempo, but stay true to what we do. And I think that because they got some fat boys on that defensive line, that if we wear them out, Derrick Henry could take off in this game and take it over. I think early in the season and throughout the season, there have been rumblings about the conditioning with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and how they get worn down quickly. And I think we have to take advantage of that. I think we have to speed up the tempo, keep them from subbing out, but maintaining a long drive. A lot of times hurry up offense are to, get the defense sleeping and get a big play. But, back when I coached high school football, I ran hurry up to just keep fat boys on the field. So they get tired. So I think that's something I would like to see us implement early. Start to wear them down early, get a long 6-minute drive going, and let Derrick Henry, our running backs, Lamar, do their thing. That way we can wear them down and neutralize them, because, one, it wears down the defense, but also it keeps Saquon and Jalen Hurts off the field. And I'm not as worried about Jalen Hurts, but I'm worried about his weapons. And I'm definitely worried about Saquon. I think if we can keep them off the field, it increases our chances, because this is a team that can fall asleep at the wheel despite their record. I think this is a team that doesn't have a great head coach, isn't always prepared, but they're talented. They're talented across the board, and I can never take that away from them. But they have some of the same weaknesses we do, as far as coaching and just being ill prepared against teams that they should beat. So I think that's something we could take advantage of. Defensively, we just can't beat ourselves, and we can't give up the big plays. I think, when Philly has had struggles, It's, teams aren't giving up big plays to Saquon. And they're not giving up big plays to A.J. Brown. Keep everything in front of you, bend but don't break, prevent the big play, and we're going to have to force turnovers. Jalen Hurts in the past has been turnover prone, not so much this year, but I think if we're able to make some plays, get some turnovers, we can definitely swing this game in our favor. But we have to be disciplined. We can't beat ourselves. We can't have stupid pass interference penalties. We can't have stupid holding penalties on offenses, legal formation, false starts. We have to play sound football. This is the toughest team we've played this year by far. Not to take anything away from Pat Mahomes, but this is the toughest team we've played thus far. So we got to be sound. We got to be sound. We got to stay true to ourselves. That's all I really got to say, man. Short and sweet.
Yeah, we got to figure out if Devontae Smith is playing, because I know he had a hamstring injury. He was just out, so I don't know if he's returning for us or not. But that's something that we'll pay attention to.
I was also looking at who's going to be the referee crew for this game. It's going to be Craig Warstad and his crew. He's actually calls the league average right now for penalties called in the game is about 12.74. And he's this year averaging about 14.25 penalties per game, which is up from 9.8 penalties a game than last year. So he's definitely calling way more penalties this year. Yardage as well. He tends to call 46% of the penalties are on the home team. So we'll see. This is the Ravens with their penalty issues going now with a referee crew that does tend to call a lot more penalties than the average referee crew this year. Does not bode well in this game. Now, again, the Ravens did get this win. So I guess the hope is for the Ravens, if this is going to be their feature for the rest of the season, you just kind of have to hope, all right, if we're going to get penalties on offense or whatever, defense, whatever, we at least got to force their side to make penalties too. We got to start, if you're on offense and wide receivers, fighting for the ball, trying to get pass interference calls. If you're on the defense, getting the holding calls. And we've noticed that Owe, especially, while he hasn't been getting a lot of sacks, in these games, he has been getting a lot of these holding calls. He has been forcing a lot of these offensive linemen to get holding calls. So he's been doing a good job with that. Van Noy too. I think Van Noy got one, forced a holding call as well in this game. So I would hope because this is the game, it's a 4:00 game, it's a big game, interconference play, that they just kind of let them play. Unless it's egregious, let these guys play. I am getting sick and tired, I think, week to week. It's not just the Ravens game. It's across the NFL where it just feels like there's way too many yellow flags on the field. It's just way too many. It's making the game not unwatchable. For some of these games, it's for some of these teams, just let them play. Unless it's egregious, just let it go, kind of thing. Let them go play ball. Yeah, you expect AJ Brown and them are going to be more physical in this game as well. Also, watch out for Keon Mitchell for the Eagles. He's up for defensive player of the year. Defensive rookie of the year. He's been playing ball. The last 7 games, he's allowed, I think, let me see here. He has allowed less than 30 yards through the team's 7 straight wins. So he's been doing a phenomenal job of whoever he's covering, locking them down. So you have to expect the Ravens are going to have to, you're not going to probably utilize a Tylan Wallace in this more, probably in this game. Utilizing more, I want to maybe to see Ravens kind of running a little bit more of those 3 tight end sets where you got Andrews, you got Likely, and you got what's his name? Keep forgetting his name now.
Kolar.
Yeah, using Kolar a little bit more in this kind of game. Like you guys said, there's also maybe a game where this is the keep away kind of game. You saw the Ravens in that first quarter or whatever, their time possession was the Chargers had 10 minutes to the Ravens 2, something ridiculous. But then by the end of the game, the Ravens had almost doubled their time percentage in that game. It's gonna be another guy kind of keep Saquon and them off the field. That's the best thing you can do for this defense. I think, like Trey said, the best thing you can do for this defense is just not put them in on the field too much. Keep them fresh. Offense, you're gonna have to do these 11, 12 play drives down the field. 8 minutes off the clock and force Jalen Hurts to make mistakes because he can make mistakes. Jalen Hurts can make mistakes. He does also tend to hold the football. He also does tend to hold the football a lot. So there's going to be opportunities there for the Ravens, who have been pretty good in getting these coverage sacks, to potentially get big plays on defense as well. So I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I really do. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I don't think it's going to be like a high scoring game, but I don't think it's going to be like a 16-14 kind of game either. Like I think there will be at least like 2+ touchdowns by each team scored and some field goals in there maybe. So what's our picks? What's our picks for the game? Remember, cold game for the high is going to be a 40, but I think by sunsets around like 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's going to be in the 30s by the time that game really gets going. So what do you guys think?
Listen, I'm going to be down there with a whole bunch of Philly people, whole bunch of people I went to college with out of Temple. You know what I mean? Ain't no way I'm picking against the Ravens in this game. Are you crazy? Yeah. I got Baltimore winning. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close, good game. I think we won by 3. I'm going 30-27 Ravens.
Whew. Yeah, I don't think the weather's going to be a factor in this game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Okay. I'm going 38-35 Ravens. Pull it off. Justin Tucker redeems himself.
All right. Just because of what Lamar does against NFC teams, and especially at home, I'm going to say Ravens 35, Eagles 27. And that's only because they get like a late touchdown. But I do think the Ravens tend to play up to their competition. They do. It's the NFC teams. These Ravens, and they're at home. The Ravens haven't been home in the last two weeks. They're at home and they get to chill and get themselves in their routines and stuff. It's going to be almost a semi-night game for this. Yeah, it also depends. I think it depends on the jersey, the color scheme they're gonna wear. I'm hoping they just let's just go blackout. Let's do blackout. Just wear all the black jerseys.
It's a good time for
black pants.
It's a good time for it.
Perfect time for this kind of game, right? I would love that. If they do that, I think they might win this one by a lot. So I think I said 35, 20, 27.
You said.
Yeah, 35, 27. So
yeah.
All right, that's it from us. Hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. Everybody be safe. Don't eat too much. They say the average American is going to gain about 6 pounds over the next few days. So just keep the plate small. You got a few days to eat this food. You want to eat it all in one sitting. You got a few days. So everybody be safe again. Be warm for all of us that will be out there. Around the stadium and stuff. Be safe and everything. And hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving and great family time and all that stuff. So. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.